All right, guys. Get settled down. Get in your seats. We love our live studio audience. They're the best. Welcome into today's episode of the Young Dad Podcast. I'm your host, Jay, and with me today is my amazing co-host, Aaron. And also joining us for the season 3 finale is Chris from Kingdom Fathers World over on Instagram. Chris is joining us today. We're super excited to have him. We're super excited to close out season 3 and get ready for season 4. How are you guys doing today? Chris, how are you? Hey, Aaron, how you doing over there?
I'm good, man. Another blessed day. I can't complain.
Yes, sir, that part. Another day above ground.
I love it. Classic saying. Chris, first off, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. Appreciate you taking the time, the effort, the energy, giving it to us. It's appreciated. Tell us about you. Tell us about you as a person, you as a dad, you as a creator, what you do, why you do it, and all that jazz.
It's a long. Okay, so I guess I'll give you the long end of it.
Long and we want the
Okay, so
long form answer.
all right. That's what I was thinking before. I was like, did I want the long one or I guess okay.
We always want
So
the
I
long one because
live.
then we get more details.
Yeah, for sure. I live in Houston, Texas. So I'm 34 years old. I got two boys. So I got a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old. My oldest son's name is Ethan, and my younger son's is named Jace. So for me, I originally started off just trying to like make content for guys and help guys out, and then I realized it was kind of competitive. And it wasn't so much that, it was just like they were all kind of saying the same thing. And then I realized I was like, I still want to help men, but I want to do something different. And then I just realized I was really good with kids. And I don't know specifically on the statistics about everything. I do read and I check out the data, but I realize that a lot of the fathers, they either don't have the right information as far as being with their kids or court systems and different things like that. So then I realized like I'm just good. I'm just good at being a father. Like I know what to do. So then I just started making videos for like my kids, and then I realized I was like, wait a minute. There's not a lot of guys on here that's making content to help their kids out to like be better fathers. So then I just started uploading and hitting hashtags and stuff, and then I was like, one thing led to another, and now I'm just trying to expand and just help as many fathers as I can because I think a lot of guys they just don't know specifically what to do. It sounds like they don't know what to do when it comes to the court system. They don't know necessarily like how to interact with a co-parent and different things like that. Like me myself, I don't really have a lot of issues with my co-parent. Very rarely, because I just set it up everything just as business as usual. Like all phone calls are recorded, all messages are all recorded, and then emails and stuff like that. And I just tell her, hey, look, we just doing business. So I was married. I was married for 6 years. That didn't work out. And I treat everything like a business now. I try not to down talk my co-parent and just say I just keep it moving. So I see my kids. I have what's called extended custody in Texas, which is the first, third, and fifth of each month. And I see my kids from Thursday all the way to Monday morning, and then to the month of July, I get them for 30 days. But really, I don't pick them up for 30 days, just simply because that's a really long time. So most of the time I do about 3 weeks to maybe like 2 weeks at a time. And then I just go from there. But I mean, I just enjoy it. I just like making content and stuff like that. It's a fun thing to do. And then I wasn't really sure if it was going to work. And I just kept praying and asking God, like, what do you want me to do? And I was like, the whole men thing it's just kind of overrated. They say all these different things. And I'm like, somebody needs to step in and just kind of make guys understand that they can be good fathers and they don't have to argue and stuff like that. So that's basically, I mean, I guess that's where I'm at right now. And then we'll just go off the questions and stuff like that. That's all I can think of for right now.
I love it, man. I love it. I like how you started and you're just like, make me a vessel. Make me a vessel. Let me be a vessel
Yeah.
to help someone else, to be there for someone else, to spread a message, spread my knowledge to help someone else. And that's ultimately it's where you got to start. Because you had something in you that was telling you, I got to start somewhere. I'm going to start. I enjoy this. I see what's out there. It doesn't work for me. If you're the only one feeling like it's not working for me, I guarantee there's other people that are like, it's not working for me either. I need something different. I need a different
Yeah.
change of pace. I need a different perspective. Uh, and a lot of guys, a lot of men in general, don't want to talk about co-parenting. They don't want to talk about the divorce. They don't want to talk about what they went through. It's like I just want to be on the other side of it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about what I'm going through now. It sucks. It's effed up. I don't want to talk about it. Super common, but for you in your spot, just like being on the other side of it now. You said you guys were married for 6 years. How long have y'all
Yeah.
been separated or divorced for?
Man, I think it's what, maybe over like 3 years now. So like one of the first things I always tell men is like the first thing, don't go out there and rush and get in no relationship. Like I tell guys, you need to sit your behind down. You need to sit your behind down and you need to get in like counseling. Like I went to counseling for about a year to a year and a half because like my story is just long. Like even with my dad, like when I grew up, I had both parents. I stayed in a 2 parent household. My parents are married for about 20 something years. And then my dad died from suicide. So like I tell folks like, I mean, I just look at all kind of different angles and stuff like that, but he
Mm-hmm.
was adopted and stuff like that. So I think he dealt with certain things. But I always tell people I have no like hard feelings against my dad. I mean, that's a decision that he made. But as a father, he was always there for me. And I tell people I'm not mad or upset. I can't control what he does, but he was there for me. So I mean, I always saw that because he had a kid from another marriage previously, and like now we just now connected. This has probably actually been my best year. I would say probably one of the best years of my life because that's one of the. I mean, my marriage was so. It is what it is because people kind of come and go. But I always wanted to develop a relationship with my brother, with my dad, from basically his kid from his previous marriage. Because some part of it when I was younger, he lived with me. But then as I got older, I wanted to like connect. And then it's like his fiance reached out to me, and then we just started talking again. And like now, I'm like, I was extremely happy. I was crying one day. I was so happy that I was just so. I told people like marriage was just so, but like having a relationship with my brother is something that I always wanted because we like blood, and that's what meant the most to me.
I feel you there. I mean, we relate to that too because Aaron and I, we didn't grow up together. We've talked about this
Mm-hmm.
sparingly on the podcast, but we didn't grow up together, so that was difficult for us. So a lot of those same feelings there. It's like he saw the back, probably the back, like what, year ish, maybe tops of my marriage, right?
Yeah, it was definitely like the downfall.
It was,
Definitely
it
like the
was
rough
the,
times. And God just works in mysterious ways, man. I really don't mean to brag, but Jewel always tells on the podcast that our timing, getting together and starting talking together was perfect. I got him through his rough times, and he's also gotten me through my rough times. It's so crazy. And I'm sure you can attest to that too. I'm sure you guys are building your relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
it's coming. There's when God connects you with people, it's for a reason. So
Yeah, it's. I mean, now we talk, we hang out, and we talked about some things because my mom is sometimes like, because that's not her kid, but it's like, oh, sometimes be a little bit just watching stuff like that because he used to be in gangs and stuff like that, my brother. And it's like, I know that, but it's like he started to finally change his life and turn things around because I used to tell him I was so upset because why couldn't you just be there and different stuff? He's like, you got to understand, I'm in the gang and stuff like that, but now I'm finally like making changes and stuff. And that's why now, yeah, like we actually hang out and stuff like that. We haven't got the kids together yet, but it's still like in the process. But
yeah.
I mean, I just remember when I was a kid, he used to help me out with my homework and different things like that. And it's like I talked to my mom about it, and then she was like, "I don't remember that," and I was like, "Okay." And then me and my brother, we sitting there talking. We was like, "We remember this, like we were there together." But I guess some things they just don't remember because she wasn't there. And then it's like, we personally, us. I mean, it wasn't gravy all the time, but majority of the time though, we had a really good relationship. And it's like we say, we can't control what the parents did, my dad's ex-wife or my mom or my dad, but for us, we as like a brothers are very happy with the way things are going.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's so powerful. Like that example now after living through it, everything you lived through, everything he went through, coming out of that life and into like a new life, a new perspective, all that. That is so powerful for you guys. Like your example, like what he knowledge he can give you, but also the knowledge he can share with y'all's kids. as
Right.
that example. It's like, yo, look, don't do this. Take it from me firsthand. That's not what you want. That's not what you want to be about. Trust me, it's one of those like I lived it, you don't want to do it kind of thing. So it just sets that powerful example. But it's also like if you do it, like for you as a father, you can say, my brother went through this stuff. Your uncle, he went through this stuff. I still love
Hmm.
him. We're better than ever. We're tight. I love him. I never stop loving him. Even if y'all mess up, I'm still gonna love y'all, no matter what. Because look at this example right here. Not to like make an example out of him in that way, but like use that lived experience to set the tone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right on that because I grew up in so it was a two-parent household and it was like upper middle class, so it wasn't like, I mean, we lived like a really good life. My parents bought me a car when I was like in high school. I mean, I just had a lot of different things. I had like my own personal tutor at one time and stuff like that. So with him, it wasn't so much that he grew up bad. His mom was a nurse, so she made money and stuff like that. But it's like he still wanted to hang out with some of like the lower class people and just do a lot of different things that weren't good. So when he came with us for a short amount of time, maybe like a year or so, it was okay. But then he wanted to get back to what he was doing. So
Mm-hmm.
when I look at his situation, it wasn't necessarily bad. It's just more so about who he hung out with, and we talked about it before. We just grew up differently, but for us, I mean, it's like we're fine. And he's always like, "Hey, if anything ever happens, I can still take care of it. If somebody's bothering you, I'm like, I don't need you to do none of that. Like, it's still we're good. We just keep it at what it is. We try to keep it professional. So that's just, I mean, sometimes it's like that, but yeah, it's like we talked about our kids before and trying to teach them different things and stuff like that and how we can improve. But yeah, we've talked about that where he said your uncle is a good guy. One of the things that really, because I work in with animals now and research and stuff like that, and it was something
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to do, but as I got older, I was like, nah, I need to be like a content creator because when I was uploading videos one day and I had my brother over and then we were talking, he was like, nah, he was like, Christopher, you need to be doing like content, like you like a real YouTuber and stuff like that. And for me, he saw the same thing that I see. So some of people was like, oh, you need to do research. No, that's not me. Like I'm not doing that. And then I just started realizing I'm gonna listen to like what my brother said. I'm trying to build something for us. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
about what you think I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not doing that. So, but yeah.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And it's so hard to, say, no, everyone's telling me to do this, but this one voice that's telling me to do this is really just about following, what's right and finding the balance and all that and finding what's going to work
Mhm.
for you as an individual and how that's going to look because it's going to look different for everybody, you know.
Yeah, there was a quote. I think it was John D. Rockefeller. It was somewhere around the lines of like, if you want to be successful, it was like basically go down your own path. Like, don't follow the same path as everybody else. And I'm starting to really see that as time goes on, that really is true. And I was like, because that's why when I look around, I see some guys. It's like they make videos with kids and stuff like that, but I don't think they get into really like the nitty gritty, like you were saying, like real co-parenting, like these are the real struggles you're gonna have, or when you get to court, like they're gonna be putting stuff in your documents. You're gonna be seeing a totally different side of the woman that you ain't never seen. Like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
do? And I tell folks, like, I wouldn't necessarily say I was depressed. I was just more so like I need to get help because I always promised myself after my dad died, I was like, okay, I went to counseling, but it was like it wasn't a lot. But I said, if anything ever happened again, I would always try to make sure that I went to counseling. And I tell people that was my biggest fear. My biggest fear in life was actually to be divorced. And then when it happened, I just thought it was going to be so much different. I really did. I tell people, I thought it would be so much harder. And when it happened, I was like, wow, it's not as bad as I thought. And I said, the kids, as long as I spend time with them, then they got their mom. I was like, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. So take us through that. So obviously y'all married for 6 years, um, kids along the way. What was that process
Mm.
like? 3 years removed now. What have the last 3 years been like for you? What's that journey been like? Because I know what mine was. It was down, down, down before it finally started to go up, and then it went down, then it went up, then it went down again. So take
Yeah.
us through that for you. What was that? What's the last 3 years been like? How have you gone from married to divorced to you know recovered?
I'm single now. That's it. Yeah, because I was gonna say I just talked to one female and we'll see how things go. But I think at the beginning, so I tell people it wasn't all gravy. Like when I first got divorced, like we had just bought a house. So it was like, I don't know whatever idea she had in her head. I mean, I can't speak for her, but she had some other idea. And then after she filed for divorce, I was staying with my mom. So it was like you going to court, like I put in one document, then you put in another, and then I think she thought it was going to be a whole lot easier. But I was like, no, there's certain things that I want. I want this house sold, and there's certain things that I want. So if we got to take another year and a half, the court case went a whole lot longer than what I thought it was going to be. I think she had some type of other agenda. I'm not really sure. And from there, when everything happened, I tell people I was sleeping in my mom's living room on an air mattress and on the couch for at least a year, maybe even longer than that. Because once you start to process, I didn't really have nowhere else to go. So, but she stayed in the house, and I just always told myself, and I really, still to this day, I only cried like one time. I cried one time because I was like, damn, you like, I really am alone. But I told myself I would rather be alone than be with somebody that does not want to be with me and be miserable. One of the best things my dad ever told me, the best advice I've ever heard, and I tell people, if the woman don't want to be with you, just let her go. And he was right. He was so right on that. So I slept on my mom's couch and on an air mattress with the boys, and I took them to the park. I mean, it was difficult because I got a job, then I had to do a second job and stuff like that. And I told them, hey, look, we're just gonna stay here till we can get everything established and stuff like that. After about that time, I would say going into like the second year, once everything was said and done, I was like, I always had a plan. So then I got an apartment after that, and I'm still in like a 1 bedroom apartment. I'm in the process of getting a 2 bedroom here in a couple of months. But I always told myself I would rather be by myself and spend time with my kids than be sitting there stressed out. And I would never, that's one thing I would never ever do that again. I would never let somebody stress me out like that ever again. And it was difficult because you're going to counseling, you're trying to go to work, you're calling in, you're going back and forth trying to figure out what to do. And like I would go on certain dates and stuff like that, but I never had anything necessarily really serious per se. And then in going into my second year, I was like, okay, I'm almost done with this divorce because it's taking way longer. And once everything kind of settled, then I got here. The very first thing I did was I renewed my passport. Like, I know I'm going on vacation. I need to figure out where I'm going.
You're like, I'm going
And the
somewhere.
first thing I did is I went to Mexico. Yeah, man. I went to Mexico on vacation. I had a relationship for about 4 months or so, going back and forth across the border, speaking a little bit of Spanish. I said, I'm gonna roll with this for a while. That didn't work. And I was like, okay. But I was cool with it because I was like, it may or may not work. I don't really care. Because my main
Yeah.
focus is always my kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always focused on my kids. So I got my stuff established. I made sure my car was paid off and different things like that. And now I'm in about what, the 3.5 year. So now I'm pretty much what I thought. I told my kids, once we get to this 1 bedroom apartment, let's just stay here because I don't want to get a 2 bedroom because I want to see specifically what path we're going down or what are we gonna do from here. And I just
Mm-hmm.
talked to my older son and I said, what do you think about moving here? Or what do you think about living on a ranch? Or what about a condo or something? Because I tell him, it's just about me and you. I'm not focused on getting married. I focused on you and your brother and making sure that we're okay before I even jump in any type of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So then I just focused on my kids and kept taking them to parks and stuff like that. Then I realized that all I really had to do was take them to a park and pack a sandwich or something like that. And it was actually pretty cheap. And then I realized that my relationship with my kids actually got better. And that was the crazy thing. I was so terrified that it would like hurt them and stuff like that. But my relationship, actually, I couldn't believe it that it actually got better. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't bad. But then I realized that my ex-wife, there were some things that she was telling the kids that just wasn't right. And then I told my son one day, like, you don't need to lie to me, just tell me the truth. I said, I'm not mad at you. And I told him that I loved him and stuff like that. And he was crying and stuff like that. And he gave me a hug. And I was like, this is something that, your mom wanted to do. I said, I can't control what she does. All we can do is just keep moving forward. I said, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what her idea and agenda is or whatever she has going on in her head. But all we can do is just continue to keep moving forward. And everything pretty much that I said is came true. The 1 bedroom, get to a two. And then I told him, okay, after that, we'll get a condo somewhere. or some type of townhouse in Houston, and we'll just keep moving. At that point, somewhere right around there, either in a 2 bedroom or getting a townhouse, I look into getting married. Because I want to make sure my mental health is okay. And that was always my first important thing. It's like, it's hard to be a parent if you are mentally not okay. It is extremely difficult to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And some guys, they're not going to admit that they need help. And that was the first thing I did. I was like, I don't care if I think I need help or not. I'm going to counseling. That was the very first thing. I'm going to counseling right now. And that's what I did. I have an amazing counselor. I mean, she's from the islands. It's this black lady, and she has an accent and stuff like that, but it's a Christian counselor. And we'll pray before, and then we'll pray at the end, and we'll talk for about 45 minutes to an hour about what's going on. And I haven't seen her. Every once in a while, I'll check in with her every couple of months. But that was an amazing process. She was really there for me. My mom was there for me. And then I had like friends and family. I never really knew. I knew I had friends and family, but even they were really there for me. I mean, people gave me money. They helped me out with food and different. I was like, man, I never seen this before. Christmas time came around. They gave me like different gifts for my kids and me. I didn't realize I had such good relationships with people. I mean, I knew we were friends, but people were really, really there for me. And I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, now where I'm at, I just, still to this day, like, I don't have nothing negative to say about my ex wife. I mean, she has her own relationship going on, whatever she has going on over there. And I just talked to one female. We'll see how things go here in the next year. But, I'm pretty confident about the way things are going with, the person that I'm talking to. And I'm just happy. My kids, I take them to the water park during the summer. Right now, they're on a cruise with their mom. I told them, I'm happy you're going with your mom. I want you to have a good relationship with your mom and me. I'm not mad or upset or anything. I just, hey, one thing I found out, you cannot control somebody else if they don't want to be with you. So,
Mm-hmm. No, I love
So on
that.
that tip, I
yeah.
have a question for either one of you. It's something that I don't have to deal with, but I'm sure you guys have thought about it, and I'm sure you guys have dealt with it. What is the plan for when another father figure comes into their life? Like, how do you deal with that? Like, what's something you would suggest for dealing with that?
That's a
I
heavy
would say,
question.
okay, so yeah, I want to make sure I answer this in the right way because my mom tells me sometimes I have to watch what I say because I'm going to say, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. Okay, so right now, I don't want to say that she is, but I'm just going to say this allegedly. Allegedly, that my ex-wife, I don't know if this woman lives with her or not, or I'm not sure if she's into women. That's all I'm going to say. Allegedly, from what I've seen and heard, I don't know. I'm not positive, but I know there might be, maybe she's dating a woman. I'm not sure. Now, as far as that situation, that this is, I don't understand how you would be married and then go into a non-traditional type of relationship. I really don't necessarily agree with that. At the same time, it might be a little bit better than having a man in the house that's kind of aggressive or something like that, or yelling or arguing and stuff like that. So I really don't agree. But as far as another guy coming in, that is something that I have thought about. And for me, in my eyes, I'm always in control. I'm in control of the situation no matter what because these are my kids. So like, I've had to, when I was going through my separations or divorce, I've had to call the cops before, and I was like, I want you to not tell my ex-wife. You're gonna have to always understand these are our kids together, and I just always look at it as like I'm in control of the situation. You're not gonna tell me what I can and can't do. So if another guy comes into the situation, for me, we could talk and stuff like that, but just understand that the guy don't have no rights. It's me personally, I wouldn't be a stepdad. I can't say that for everybody. I don't think it's a good idea because you don't have rights to the kids and they're not yours. So they can do and say what they want to do if they want to help pay bills and all that kind of stuff. But just understand that these are my kids as well as my ex-wife. So I communicate directly with her. So if my kids tell me that there's something going on, I just send my ex-wife a message. I'm like, hey, you need to fix this. If you're not gonna fix it, I'm gonna call somebody, call CPS or something. You're gonna fix this situation because you gotta still understand as guys, and some guys, I don't know what the deal is. It's like they don't get it. Those are your kids. whether they live in the house with you or not, you better make sure you got control over this situation and that you the parent that you need to be. No other man can raise your kids. So you can spend as much time with them as you can. Like I see my kids not even on the days I'm not supposed to see them because my ex-wife is like, if you want to pick them up that day, look, I tell her, okay, I want this day, this day, this day, and some days I get extra days. Like she's not really combative as she used to be once I started basically like laying down the hammer, like this is what we doing. So I'll let Jay go next. What you think, Jay?
Oh man, this is such a loaded question. Because I've dealt with this, and I dealt with this very, very, very early in my divorce because of the situation. If you can put that together, it was one to the next. If you catch my drift, without me trying to throw it out there, so it was very like forced into the situation. It was very forced in. It was very um, unexpected. It was expected, but also like the way it happened was very like unhealthy, very forced, very a lot of fuck yous being thrown around. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I
Yep.
want. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. He's gonna be around the kids. Like no, like those are my kids. Like don't bring another man around my kids. Kind of thing. Like I don't know this person. It's like we'll get to know him then. Like fuck you. No, I'm not gonna get to know him.
You don't have to
Like
do
fuck that
it.
dude. Like fuck that dude. I don't give a fuck about him. Kind
Yeah.
of thing. Sorry. And for the listeners, sorry.
Yeah.
It's I put the
Yeah.
E on the podcast so you knew it was gonna be explicit. And whatnot. It's my platform. I do what I say what I want. But it was like,
Yeah.
F this dude. No, I'm not gonna get to know him. To the point where it's like anything that happened to the point where it got hostile at some points to where I got in his face a couple times and checked him. Like, dude, don't do that.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
back down, back the fuck down. Know your place, know your role, back up, kind of thing. Not to try to sound like a tough guy or anything, because I'm not. But like, it's like know your role, know what you're supposed to be doing here. Um, and it was always with my older daughter. You call him by his name. Their mother wanted them to, because she
Yep.
got pregnant 3 months after our divorce. Um, which was another wrinkle. So I got divorced. We separated, and then we agreed to divorce. A couple weeks later, she moves out. Moves in with a friend of hers. This friend has 3 kids, also going through a divorce. Um,
Oh my god.
and that's I'll tell you more about that later. But then 3 months later, because we were still sharing a Target account, like a red card and stuff. So I'm like looking at the purchases because I need to go do something, and then I see this baby stuff, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" So then I confront her
Yeah.
about it, and she's like, "Well, we're like sitting in the living room at my place," and she's like, "Well, and then um, brought it up and leads to a whole thing. Anyways, so over the last couple years, things have progressed to where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to give you guys a few more years because I still don't think this is going to work. But that's my personal opinion because of just how it all started. But that's my personal opinion. That
Mhm.
what they do is what they do. But it's like with my daughters, it's like you call him by his first name. You don't call him
Yep.
whatever your mom wants you to call him. You call him by his first name. That's it. At least when you're talking to him about me. At least when you're talking to me about him or what's going on over there. I don't want to. Don't let your mom tell you what you have to say, what you don't have to say.
Yeah,
And
and
it's like,
I will say
so
Jewel handled it very gracefully. I mean, me and Jewel talk almost like
all the
every single
time,
day, all
every
the time.
single
So
day.
I mean, I was there for a lot of it,
He was on the
and
phone a couple times.
yeah, it's just like knowing myself, like I don't know how I would ever make it through that. It's so tough. Just and even with your experience too, like it's it's easy for men to lose control at that point. And
hmm
the whole point of this podcast and of this platform is to, help guys understand what do I do in that situation, or how do I handle that situation? And I know it's a tough question for you guys, especially for
Yeah,
Jewel, but it's like, I it's a great resource. I feel like there's a bunch of
100%.
men going through this same thing, figuring out like, how am I going to make it through this? What am I supposed to do? And it's just what we're trying to create here is like an outreach for those men. And like you said, just provide a service for men, just because
Right.
as men we're left behind in today's society, and it's I feel like, me and Jill talk about that's what's really missing in our community now. Like in our culture everywhere, we don't men don't have that reinforcement anymore. It's like, everything's built to tear men down. So, I don't, like I said before, I don't know what it's like to go through that, but on your point, I am the father. I am that ultimate protector. It is my responsibility to make sure my children are safe. At the same time, my belief is my children represent me. So I'm going to instill respect. I'm going to instill, all those values that I believe in into my kids, and I expect them to hold those same values. And so with another male coming in, it's just, to me, seems like, in a way, like how you guys are saying, like my word takes reign. It there is no additional input that comes in.
Yes, like you're like
So is
yeah,
Yeah.
that is
what it
that
was
like,
for
would you
me,
guys say
like
that's the same sentiment, or like?
100%. Like for me at least, it was like what their mother say and what I say. That's the final say.
Mhm.
I don't care if y'all get
That's it.
married.
That's it.
I
a
don't care
hundred
if I
percent.
I don't care if y'all get married or what y'all do. Y'all have another kid. When it comes to these two children, it's my say and
Exactly.
their mother's say, and that's it. That's it. Like I don't care about his opinion. I don't care about what he says. I'm dating someone now and things are pretty serious. Probably the most serious relationship I've had since the divorce and whatnot. Um, Probably my healthiest, happiest relationship that I've had since my divorce. I'm very happy, very thankful, very blessed. She's an amazing woman. Um, I could go on about her for hours, but I won't for time's sake. But
Hmm.
ultimately, it's like she knows coming into the situation that she's supporting. She supports me in my parenting. That's like a very hard line. It's like you support me until it's like we're at a point to where it's just natural where they're coming to you for those things or where they're needing the more like girly things and things like that. I mean, that's how it'll be with Aaron and I's kids eventually. It's like, oh, I'm going to call my uncle. Or it's like, I'm going to call my uncle, either way, because I don't want to talk to my dad about it. My Uncle Joel's cooler. Or it's like, oh, I'm gonna call Uncle Aaron
Yeah.
because I don't want to talk to him about how my dad's gonna maybe react if I talk to him about that. But that's just dynamic, whatnot. But it's like that same time, it's like he's gonna call me on the down low and be like, hey, your kid just called me. We talked about this, just so you're prepared. That's the dynamic there. So that's the kind of support that like I would expect to come from like her and from him, in this situation. But ultimately, I have a few tips here, if you would, for like this situation. So over like Father's Day weekend, I wrote for the Divorcee Dish. Erin, she was a previous guest on the podcast, runs the Divorcee Dish. Very great, great book. She just published number 2 on that. Great interactive blog. Uh, but a couple things here, Chris, you mentioned it earlier. But the first thing you have to do is you have to get your shit together. You have to get your crap together. You have to get yourself together
Yep.
mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and you have to be intentional with that like focus of mind, body, soul. You have to become that best version of yourself and keep working toward that best version of yourself. The next, especially in this situation, and it's going to be really hard at first, trust me, I know, but you have to get over yourself. You have to get over yourself because you cannot control the other person. You cannot control who they're with. Ultimately, women are toxic, but I also would prefer at the same time if it was a woman versus another man, kind of thing. Just for
Yeah.
that and whatnot. I almost would prefer that. It makes a little bit more sense there. But hey, to each their own. Um, It's a great
Yeah.
opportunity for parenting to teach about love, tolerance, acceptance, respect, and, you know, make your choices, live your life as long as you're happy doing it, kind of thing. Different conversation, but um, stop. You have to stop thinking just about yourself, and remember, you have to remember what's most important. Like you mentioned, Christopher, your kids are the most important. Their health, their safety, their well-being, and you have to stop making mountains out of molehills, because every time I see it, it drives me freaking crazy. I'm on a dad's group and someone's just bashing their ex. They're posting screenshots. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why the fuck are you doing like
Yeah.
that? Serves nobody. Like, get off of here, go
Yeah.
get over yourself, go to the gym, go for a run, go take a cold shower, go do something, go do whatever you want to do. Just stop doing that, because that's doing nothing. That's not going to make you feel better. That's just building more resentment and more anger. And obviously, you have some shit you need to process, um, which
Yeah,
ultimately
that
leads me
what you
to,
saying is
yeah,
oh,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, yeah, I was gonna interject right there. What you saying is absolutely right because I see that sometimes. I'm like, bro, just let it go. Stop. Just stop. They gonna be whoever they want to be with. They gonna do whatever they want to do. They didn't want to be with you. Just focus on you. Once you start to focus on yourself, to me, it got easier dating. And like now, I'm just more selective. I'm very, very laid back and chill when it comes. I'm like, I don't want to date her. I might. It just kind of depends on the way the wind blows and stuff like that. Because I'm so focused on making myself a better person. I'm so focused on my kids that I'm not sitting there worried about what my ex-wife is doing. Unless it comes to the kids, I'm not focused on that. And really going back to what you had said, Jay, it's like when it comes to I tell my kids, look, if she's trying to if my ex-wife is again, this is subjective, what if she says this,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is what I've heard. But I tell my kids if she tries to say you got two moms or different things like that, just know you got a mom and a dad. You need to listen to what they're telling you. And if that other person's in the house, I tell them all the time, you don't got to listen to that person. And I tell them, if you want me to come pick you up, that's fine. And I've had a couple times they call me on the phone. Can you come pick me up? Yeah. Did you talk to your mom? She said, yeah. Did she say it's okay? Yeah. Okay. I'm on my way. It's like,
All
I
right.
don't care. Look, you can just come stay with me. I don't care about that. I'm your
Mm-hmm.
daddy.
Yeah, and it's
So
like
yeah, I mean, I feel like,
for me, it's like on that point right there, it's like my kids are so young that it's hard to really like tell, is because the oldest one's 6, so it's like, is she really just saying that for leverage in the situation, or does she actually want to go over there, or does she actually want to stay? Because when I actually do make that call or send that text, she's like, no, 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 I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I didn't mean it, kind of thing. And it's like, well, now I can't,
yeah.
so she's not quite old enough to really say like I want to leave or I want to stay or anything like that. Um, Kind of thing. And obviously the other one's 2, so you can't really get too much out of that. But um, you have to just let it go, and you have to just continually set that boundary. Like you have a mom, like my older one knows. She asked, she's like, so if you guys get married, so I'm gonna have a mom, a dad, a stepdad, and a stepmom. She's like, I'm gonna have 4
Basically,
parents. She's like, I'm gonna have 4 parents. I'm like, in a
nah, you
sense,
got to.
like you have more people that love you and support you. Ultimately,
Yeah.
is what it is. But you have mom and dad. That's what you have. It's what you'll always
Mhm.
have. Uh, so a lot of things you have to. That leads me to my last. I have 2 more points here. You have to let it go. You have to let all the shit you can't control go. And I know it's easier said than done, but you have to bless and release as much as you can. Um, and not hold on to things if they're not serving you. If they're not serving you, you need to let it go. Uh, a great analogy or a physical like representation of this that I use in my mental health facility is that I'll make paper airplanes with people and we'll ride on them, and then we'll just throw them down the stairs because it's a physical representation of letting go. Or going down to like a
Mhm.
body of water, taking a Sharpie with you down to a body of water, grabbing a rock, writing what you want to let go on it, and throwing it as far as you can. Physically, just letting go and releasing
Yeah.
that, it does something to you, and it's such a powerful feeling. Which ultimately leads me into my last thing, is you have to forgive. Forgiveness is so powerful. I went through forgiveness therapy after my divorce and after my separation and everything. There's 5 phases to it. Some therapists use a forgiveness therapy, but I see the most effective one being the 5 phase one. But you have to forgive
It is.
yourself. You have to forgive yourself, those who hurt you, and then you have to forgive yourself a little bit more after that. And you just have to realize, like, it's not your fault. You can't control it. You didn't cause it. Like, were you always the perfect husband? Was I always the perfect husband? No. Was I always perfect? Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but didn't? Absolutely. Uh, so many things, and I write about that a lot. So it's like, this is what I didn't do. This is what I'm now committed to doing, and it's like I know those changes now, and I see them impacting my new relationship now, and see the impact. See how much that benefits us when I'm more open, when I'm more communicative, when I'm saying how I feel, when I'm saying what's on my mind, when I'm talking about even like little things that might be bothering me, or when I'm like feeling like I need reassurance, I ask for that reassurance kind of thing. And she gets it. She understands because she knows what happened. Um, Openly talking about these things, it's all so important. So those are my tips for when this situation happens, because it is so hard. But you have to get your shit together first. Get over yourself. You have to let it go, and you have to forgive. A lot of those things are a lot
Yeah.
easier said than done, but
You
those steps are so important.
And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And that's why I tell guys, like, stop with the dating. Just whenever you get divorced, I said, just stop. Just stop what you're doing and make sure that whatever you need to do, be around some good people that care about you and stuff. Stop worrying about other women and all this kind of stuff with your ex. Focus on you. Like I still go to the gym, just not as much as I used to, like maybe 3 times a week, 2 times a week now, but I used
Hmm.
to go about 5 times a week.
Oh
And
yeah,
like that's
dude.
what I did. I just simply kept hitting the gym. I kept going. I was going on vacation after vacation, and people are like, "Oh man, you blowing through money." And so I'm like, "Look, let me tell you something. If you've been in the situation I was in, you just want peace and quiet. I don't care what it costs at this point.
Hmm.
I just want to be quiet.
And
I
that's
don't want
part.
drama in my life. I just want
Yes,
time to myself."
100%. And that's part of embracing the quiet. There's You go from living in this environment for mine was 5, almost 6 years, like time together, to now with kids every day, morning to night, the daily routine. Like, Aaron,
Mhm.
there's noise constantly, right? At your house, it's always loud. It's always like children talking, babies crying, all the fun, the joy, right? And then you go from that
Bro,
life.
there's a
I know.
reason. There's a reason why there's a mute button on my microphone.
I know.
Yeah,
I
this you're
know.
right. It's always commotion.
It's always commotion, but then all of a sudden it stops. It's gone, and you miss it, and it's
Mhm.
hard, and it's quiet, it's gut wrenching. It is so hard. It is the hardest part of divorce that nobody talks about, is the quiet, because that silence kills you inside as a man, because then you are forced. You are literally forced to stop and think. You are literally forced to sit there with your thoughts, your feelings, and think and process them, because you have no distractions. You have no one to distract you. You have nothing to distract you. Hence why a lot of men find video games, or they go to the gym. Some men, not all, I would say it's probably a 60-40 split. 40% find a healthy outlet. Like, I lost 60 pounds in my first probably 90 days after my divorce. I went from 230
Oh
down to like
wow.
170. Uh, it was not healthy. But then again, I was dealing with a lot of depression and an unhealthy relationship with food, and it was really unhealthy. Ultimately, I've gotten back up to about 190, so I'm back at a healthy weight now for my size. But ultimately, like, I found the healthy outlets. I was working a little bit more. I was going to the gym a lot. I was kickboxing. I was doing just a lot of different new things just to get the energy out, because I knew that's what I was going to need, therapy, things like that. But also at the same time, a lot of men fall into the 60%, I would say. Say it's more than not. It could even be a 70-30 split, but the others percentage fall into addiction. I went to a new barber's a few weeks ago, and this barber was like, tell me about yourself, man. What do you got going on? I was like, oh, I'm a single parent. He's like, bro, Like that end of that conversation was just like he's like, dude, I don't know why you just ended up in my chair. Like I was running late to work today. I was supposed to be here hours ago, but I just barely got here. You got here. He's like, I just barely put the bottle down 2 days ago after me and my baby mama broke up. He's like, I've been on a bender for
Mm,
about 2-3 weeks now. And he's like, I picked up the bottle and he's like, I finally put it down because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want this. I can't do this kind of thing. And he's like, this isn't what's best for me and my kid. Like he's like, I can't do this. I can't. My daughter doesn't deserve this kind of thing. And it just like made me realize like so many more men than not fall into those addictions, whether it's video games or internet things or drugs, alcohol, food, all these things that people fall into addiction wise that just consume them because they're too afraid to get it out in a healthy outlet because that fear, there's so much fear around healing, going on a healing journey for a man. It's foreign, it's not okay, which is absolute crock of shit bullshit, because you
yeah,
need to heal. If you have kids, you go through a divorce or you're co-parenting, or even if you're in a relationship and you're in a two-person household and things are going well, get your shit together, no matter what situation you're in. But it's essentially crucial when you go through a divorce and you're co-parenting, get your shit together. Get your shit together.
yep,
Get it together, because your kids do not deserve that. Your kids, your partner, your life, you deserve to be the best version of you, for your kids. Because you cannot raise healthy, great children that are going to be productive members of society if you are not a productive member of society of yourself. Thank you for
yeah.
coming to
What
my
you
TED
saying
Talk.
is really on point. Yeah, but what you're saying is really on point because I looked that up myself because I was like trying to see where am I and what path am I going down. So basically, what I saw, and I try to really kind of follow this path, but I still try to cover up my own. But it's like the first year, you're really just trying to get yourself together and go to counseling. Once you get into the second, it starts to kind of level out a little bit, but you still. So then I did the traveling. Once I got to like a third year, and I see this to be true, and I found it really is true. Once you get to your third year, your mind starts to get clear. You
Mm-hmm.
start to really just kind of see things for what they were. You kind of you understand things. And I would say, generally, I think they said once about 4 to 5 years in, most of the time guys are married by that time. And I'm like, okay, I'm sitting like for me, I'm like, okay, I'm hitting on all cylinders. Like now I'm okay. I don't have nothing bad
Yeah.
to say. I mean, I'm just moving on. So I'm just trucking.
And it takes men so much longer to move on because it's a very sad fact, but it is so true that women move on before the end of their relationship. Like women are already
Yep,
emotionally and mentally out the door before the relationship ends for a time frame, and that's true. I can tell you firsthand that's so
yep.
fucking true, because I was told that to
That's
my
what happened to me.
face. I was
Yeah,
told that to my
yeah,
face, um, kind of thing, and you know it is what it is at the end of it. You know, ultimately I'm better off now. I'm much healthier myself. My kids and I have a much better relationship. Um, the woman I'm with now, like I said, the healthiest relationship, happiest relationship I've been in post divorce. And I'm just a little over 2 years. But in the last 2 years, you know, all my shit got together. I finished college. I got a book published. You know, we started this podcast about a year ago, and a lot of things have just fallen into line over the last, you know, really the last year. That first year was not great. That was rough.
it's rough. The
Um,
first year is extremely hard.
First year is hard. Um,
And from the outside looking in, I got a really good perspective of, at that point of divorce, everything gets broken down. And so you guys are essentially starting from scratch and rebuilding everything.
mm,
It doesn't matter if you have good credit, a bunch of money, it doesn't matter what you have. You're still going to be rebuilding.
Yep,
And a testament to you guys, you guys have a story to tell, and I think that's beautiful. I think that's great. And all, like you said, your relationship with your children now is stronger, better, and you could say it's forged in the fire. A lot of men don't really get that opportunity, and luckily you guys have. But this is our main goal. This is our main outreach, is to try and get this info out. So, what's something you guys would say is crucial during that time, like that when everything's falling down? Like, what is that one super important, super impactful thing you have to do besides, I obviously get your shit together?
I would say for me, I mean, I always lean on God. So I make sure that I was praying in the morning, make sure that I'm reading my Bible. And then after that, counseling. And then, I mean, like I said, I was with my mom. So I spent a lot of time talking to my mom. So maybe those three things, like making sure, I mean, people aren't religious. Some people aren't. I don't even know if I would necessarily call it religious. I just prayed and just asked God just to continue to keep leading and guide me. I tried to get proper guidance and stuff like that and counseling. So I would say, really three things. So number one, just praying to God and asking Him to lead and guide you in the right direction, reading your Bible, counseling, and then making sure you're around a good group of people for support. I think those are
Yes,
really what about three, four things I would say for me. So
100%. I would say for me, the first thing that was most important to me, obviously, I got right into therapy. I jumped right into that. I actually struggled with my faith a lot the first, the first year. I struggled with my faith. And then, honestly, thinking about it now, it was about a little bit more, been a little bit more than a year. It's probably been about a year and 3 months that I went back to church and I found a really great, like, church and reintroduced God into my life on just like a different level. Um, I grew up LDS. I grew up Mormon, and so we stopped that after we got
oh wow.
married. And yeah, fun fact. Um, and we left that. I left that as during our marriage. We both did, and then I just really wasn't religious. Um, and this happens to Aaron every time we get to this point. But we and then I refound God. It was a lot thanks to my aunt. It was because of a good support system that I had with my family, with Aaron, with some of our family that I was close to that just was there. I remember going to my family's for my birthday, which was about 2 weeks after we, settled that we were getting divorced and separated. 2 weeks after, and I was lying through my ass. Like, oh, where's your wife? I'm like, oh, she had to stay back. She had work, so I just brought the kids over, kind of thing, and we're just hanging out and
Yeah, I
stuff
know.
like that. And like, I was lying through
Hmm.
my ass. I think again, I went back in. I think I went back in May, and then I think I went back in June. I think I went back in July. So I think I made like 3 or 4 trips over every time, just saying, oh, she has work, she wasn't able to come, or uh, making up something else. Like, I got the time off just to spend it with the kids, and I just wanted to make a trip, so I just took a trip over. And they're like, "Oh, okay." No questions asked. Um, and then it was finally on a road trip back. I think it was like my third or my fourth road trip back because it was the last time I knew I was coming for probably the year because of just like school and life and everything. Uh, I recalled my aunt. She's like, "You just left. What's up?" And I'm like, "I have to tell you something." And I just told her. She's like, "Why didn't you tell me when you were here?" Like, she's like, "You know that I've been divorced. Your uncle's been divorced. Like, why didn't you tell us while you were here?" Like, I'm just like, I didn't want to like ruin the vibe or anything. Like, I didn't want to like bring that down on you guys. And it's like, and then what she said after that was like, that's not how it is, right? Like, she's like, we're gonna support you. We're gonna be there for you. We're gonna care. We're not gonna like shoot you down. So I think 100% what you said. Find your support system, find your group, find your people that are going to be there for you. And that's one thing that not regret, but I wish I would have done better is to let people be there for me because people would reach out. I had a lot of people reaching out um, after it kind of went public and things like that. I had a lot of people reaching out that I just was like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone, kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
regret that. I pushed a lot of people away that were really trying to be there. And you know, if any of them are listening to this, I'm sorry. That was on me. I hope you can forgive me for that. I was in a different place. I didn't understand like what you were trying to do. Like you were just trying to be nice. You weren't there just to, get details or whatnot. You were genuinely trying to be there for me as a person and care about me and love me. And I think that's so important. But you have to find your outlets. I think that's so important. Like after my divorce, like I had school. I was still going to school. I was working. I was going to the gym. I picked up kickboxing. I wasn't really writing or doing anything creative. So it's like I was still had like some unmet like energy like in my body and stuff. So it was more so just like you have to find your outlets. Find your outlets. Find your outlet physically. Find your outlet emotionally. Find your outlet mentally. Find your outlet spiritually. Find what works for you in all these different life domains. Find what sparks you, find what fires you up, find what gets you going again. Like rediscover you, fall back in love with you, fall back into who
Yeah.
you were 6, 7, 10, 20 years ago, whatever it might be. Like find you, find that best version of you, find how you change, retake your love languages quiz, take all these stupid quizzes that you find all over the place that you think are dumb or trivial, and learn about yourself. Are you a Hufflepuff or are you a Gryffindor? Are you, learn about your astrological astrological sign. There you go. I can English. Find these things out about yourself. Understand you in different ways. Understand understand your diet, look at your health, look at all these things, just rediscover you. Take steps back, go all the way back, re-question everything. I broke that down. The bonuses for this season have been the well-balanced dad diet. It's a 12-part series that I put together in cohesion with season 3. But it's a lot of what I talked about in that is you have to just re-question everything that you've ever done. Why do I do this? Why am I doing this? How is that serving me? Am I putting too many fucks here? Do I have realistic expectations?
Yeah.
Am I communicating? How do I view me? What's my long-term goals? What's my 6-month plan? What's my 1-year plan? What's my 5-year? What do I want to be in 10 years? Where do I want to be? What kind of person do I want to be? Where do I see me and my kids in 10 years? Where do I see me in 10 years? You have to stack your wins. You have to be all about your wins. You have to be all about celebrating every little bit of progress that you make because that's so important. You have to stay present. You have to show up. You have to show up for you, not anyone else. Show up for yourself because no one else is going to be showing up for you. Show up for yourself. At the end of the day, you have to show up for yourself and be there for you. You have to stay present, stay in the moment. You have to dedicate yourself to growing and learning and developing and changing and healing. It's a healing journey. You're healing. You're not healed. You're healing, and that's okay. You have to stay consistent because what all that's gonna do is gonna move your needle just enough to where you're feeling a little bit whole again. Where you go from damaged and broken and down and dark and depressed to where you start to be a light again, where you start to be a vessel, to where you start to make that positive change impact in others again, and you start to feel yourself coming back. You start to feel your creativity coming back, your love, your appreciation, this whole person you were before that made that person fall in love with you in the begin with. You find all those things that you love about yourself again that make you feel young and youthful and like kid and laugh and grow, and you find all that stuff again. I think that's the most important thing is you have to find yourself again. Discover yourself, find your outlets, do all those things. And it's a process. Like you said, it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years to get there. But once you get there, you just run with it. You're going to see just everything start to fall into place so quickly, and it's going to blow your freaking mind. You're like, I'm feeling blessed. I am blessed beyond compare. And you're going to walk out your door and you're just going to be like, thank you, God, for this day. Like, thank you for that flower. Thank you for that
That's
squirrel.
basically, yeah.
Like, you're just going to have so much love and
Yep.
appreciation for the world around you. I'm telling you, like, colors are going to be brighter. You're going to smell the smells. Your senses are going to be firing. Like, you're going to just enjoy eating fruits. You're going to enjoy being outside. You're just going to enjoy the little moments. You're going to laugh. You're going to have fun. And that's what it's going to come to. and you're gonna get there. You're going to get there. If you're not there yet, you're going to get there. So I tell people all the time, like, bro, you're gonna get there. Hang on. Just hang on. Just hang on. So thank you for coming to my
Yeah.
other TED Talk. Um, but it's what's gonna happen. So uh, it's fun. It's a good time. It's a journey. It's a great journey to be on. Because ultimately, you're going to be happier in that what's next and what's ahead is better than what you've had. God's always going to give us
Now
better.
that's definitely
He's always preparing us for the best. The best may not have happened
yeah,
when you were in your 20s, got married, and went through all that. Your best is yet to come. Absolutely, your best is yet to come because you're preparing for your best. Once that best happens, you just get to keep building on that and becoming better and better and better and working toward new things, unlocking new parts of yourself and rediscovering yourself as a person, as an individual is so important. So
definitely. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It just man, it does. It just takes time and stuff like that. It doesn't always look easy in the beginning, and it's not. But as time goes on, it does start to get easier. You just want to take one step at a time. I mean, exactly what you said. Like a lot of times, I mean, every once in a while it gets a little bit boring because I stay by myself when my kids aren't here. But for the most part, like I work so much on the weekends, it's like, man, I'm just gonna watch a video on Netflix tonight, and I just
mm-hmm.
relax. Like
And that's
I'm
okay.
just so relaxed. Like I'm just like
You gotta
just
rest.
feel good. Like
You
that's it.
gotta rest. You
Yeah.
gotta relax. You gotta just take that time to just chill. Like I'm pretty sure I fell asleep at like 6 o'clock the other night. I was like, I'm so freaking tired. Um, I was just out. Filled my belly with some delicious, crispy, cold watermelon, and I was out. You know.
Yeah.
But Chris, for you, like, two questions here to wrap us up. First one, what
Hmm.
does it mean to you to be a father, to be a dad? And the second is here, what's your one piece of parting wisdom for the people?
Okay, so for being a father, for me, it means like teaching your kids values and morals that you believe in and teaching them basically those type of things because what you teach them is going to go on to the next generation, to the next, and the next, and the next. So I'm always trying to be mindful of like what I teach them as far as like speaking, seeing, and what I show them. So like all three of those situations, and that's really what I would say. And then you're not only just a father to your kids, like I volunteer too, so you're a father to the people in the community too. You're showing them different things so people follow your lead. So it's not just being a leader there, it's a leader within the community because basically communities are built up of families, which is like one household after another after another. So I've tried to use my last name is Payne. So I'm always like, you always got to watch what you do as kids because this is the legacy that we're going to leave. So just trying to be the best person they can be, I can be, and then trying to teach them that to share like a legacy that can help people around the world just become better people. And then your last question was the best part. What was it? Advice you would say?
Yeah, what's your parting wisdom for the people?
Man, that's not it's not a hard question, but it's a good question. I would really say just like if you're a single man, I mean, I've just been through so many situations. Like, really, you know what? I will say this. I was reading something the other day because it was like, what do people regret the most in life? And like the number one thing was not living a life that they want to live. So if you're divorced and you're going through a separation right now, get your time to heal. And then last but not least, figure out the life that you want to live and build it. Build that life. Do not go on based on what somebody else is telling you. Get advice, yes, but live the life you want to live. I'm telling you, it will make you like not necessarily happy, but it's bring fulfillment. So basically, make sure you live in the life that you want to live and not live in somebody else's life.
I love that, man. Well, Chris,
So that's my parting word right there.
I love it, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. I can't believe time's flown by. Um, this was a lot of fun. It was real, it was fun, and it was real fun. So thank you again for coming on. Thanks for, blessing us with your wisdom, your knowledge, your insight, your everything. Thanks for blessing our listenership with your story and what you went through and how you got through it and all of that. And it's so appreciated. And like I said, it's been real fun today. And we appreciate you, man. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Aaron. And hey, we'll stay in contact.
For sure. For
Yes, sir.
sure.
Yes, sir.
All right, audience, do your thing.
All right, bye. Bye.